And the top of the evening to you, everybody. Free at last, free at last, free at last, free at last. And I ain't talking about Martin Luther King Day. I'm talking about Donald Trump Day. It's elementary, my dear Watson. It is good to see everybody back. YouTube was gracious to us. We begged and pleaded for them not to yank us. We thought we'd been yanked for a week, and they took the strike down this afternoon. So we're back on our YouTube channel tonight. We're back on X, Facebook, and Rumble. And we have got the one and only, she's doing much better, Leslie Millwee is in the house, my dear friend for many years. And I know she's smiling. And, buddy, it's good to hear from you tonight. How are you? Whoops, we lost her again. We've been having network problems tonight. Hang on. Let's try this again.
Well, we'll try again.
We'll try again. I'm sorry. We are having some network problems. I looked down there and I didn't see your logo. I said, she done hung up on me again. Good to see you tonight. How are you, dear?
You too. Couldn't be better. It's like Christmas, only better because it's 4 years instead of one.
Don't you just, it just reminds me of a breath of fresh air. I don't know if you remember the movie Ricochet. It's a pretty tough movie back in 1991. Denzel Washington played a prosecutor, and he was trying to convict a guy, and he was giving his closing statements, and he told the jury, he said, these people, speaking of the defendant, and he was low life and had gotten in some trouble, and Denzel was talking about the justice system being manipulated, and he said, we just want a breath of fresh air. And he said, it's time that we have justice again. And he, ran through the courtroom screaming. The judge sort of got shook up, and he said, we're just wanting to breathe the fresh air. And Leslie, today, watching President Trump talk, just the feel that you got at 12:01 when he put his hand on that Bible, I feel that breath of fresh air tonight. I do. I don't know what the future holds for this country. We could be in for one of the worst years ahead, but I don't believe that. I believe we're going to be in for a good year. There's going to be some challenges. There's going to be some mistakes that are going to be made. BVAC is out tonight. I mean, they've already had some little brush up with BVAC, and he's gone from the douche thing. But look, it's just politics. It's part of America. But the country is. We changed course today. I feel that, and I just want to get your take on that. I sensed a relief. I sensed a break in the spirit realm, and it's so freezing cold here in Tennessee tonight, so I can't breathe the air in too hard. But it's been good to breathe. It's been good to breathe the air in, Millwee, again tonight.
It is. It's snowing here too, and I really love it. It just kind of is ending a really wonderful day. I can't believe the different atmosphere everywhere. I'm talking about in grocery stores, in movie theaters, everywhere you go. It's a positivity and a kindness. There's more kindness. I really feel that, and I know that sounds kind of crazy, but it's like people have a relief, and I know I'm one of them, and I totally agree. I think whether you voted for him or not, you were ready for a change, and I think there's few people that would deny that they may not have wanted Trump, but they definitely are excited to move forward one way or the other.
Well, I noticed today, I think Fox made a great point. They had a panel on this afternoon, and I was watching him there in the Capitol Arena, getting ready to go into the Capitol Arena. I had to leave. But they made a great point that the first time that he got elected, there was like 200 protesters outside the Capitol. Outside the inauguration, that basically was arrested. It may have been 2,000. I'm not sure how many it was, but it was a lot. And this air of Russia collusion, illegitimacy, Hillary had sowed those seeds of doubt, and there was never a honeymoon that he had the first time. I mean, Trump was under constant duress. And they made a point today that this felt so much different. There was no protesting outside the inauguration. Maybe it's because it was cold. But there was none of this air of Trump stole it. There was just a feeling in that rotunda today by the Dems that we got our butts kicked. And that speech I tell you what, look, I have seen a lot of inauguration speeches in my lifetime. I've never seen the incoming president take the former administration to the woodshed on inauguration day. But listen, he let it all hang out this afternoon, and he didn't care if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris was sitting there. He was letting it all hang out, and I was amening every word of it.
Me too. It was kind of shocking that. I kind of felt like that was a form of reparation, that he's finally there and that they're not. I think Dougie looked like his tie was choking him. He just looked like he was ready to crawl out of the chair. But, you could catch their smirks and everything.
Oh, absolutely.
I thought, Bill Clinton kind of gave him Trump the side eye a few times, and I am so glad he did it. He did
Good.
it with an air of authority, with just a responsibility that, hey, I'm here and I'm here to fix it. And it reminds me a lot of Reagan. I was so much younger.
Yeah, me too.
And but it was kind of like that, and you're right. He never got a honeymoon period. I am appalled at all of the pardons that he put forth as Trump was getting ready to take.
We're going to talk about that here in a minute. I do want to go back to the speech, though. I'm just going to say something. It's Monday night. I'm in a good mood, so I'm going to go ahead and say this about Bill Clinton. I think the side eye that you saw was actually he was winking at Trump and saying, please put my wife in jail for me. Please, please, please. As Benny Goodman used to do. Take my wife, please. Please, Trump. Please. That was not a side eye, Millwee. That was a wink. And Bill saying, please come get her and put her in Gitmo.
Well, it's unbelievable that the pardons. It was crazy. I thought the speech was kind of unconventional, but it was wonderful. While he was doing that, he was still relaying what he was going to do, how he was going to do it, that it started already. I feel like it was not just a complaint session. It was truly both sides. So, he has a wonderful way of doing that. Not many people can do that, and he's gotten better at it even.
Well, let me just say this. He could not have given that speech had he won in 2020. This is the wisdom of God. This is the miracle of God. This is how God worked this out. There was an air today in that hallway that, he gave God the glory for the failed assassination attempt. He said God spared his life for him to make America great again. Look, Trump can't do that. God will have to do that. But God's going to use him, I think, in a mighty way. I think when he said there was only two genders, I felt the smile of heaven on that speech. There were several things that he said that glorified God. And he was not ashamed of faith. And he said, if we don't depend on God, this country will not make it. My wife was listening to it, and she was overwhelmed with emotion. I think all of us were. We were overwhelmed. I was here, and I was tearing up. I was on the show today, and but I felt I'd never heard something like this. And you mentioned the unconventional part. That's Trump, Bill Leslie. I mean, he's never been in the box. And I watched him even today during the dinner with the senators. And I mean, they were trying to flatter him and all this. And Trump, I think what I love about him, I think that there has been a change in him. And I don't know if it was the assassination attempt. I don't know if it was just the whole 8 years of hell that he's been through. And today was sort of like a vindication. But he was a different man. He looked relieved. And it was like that he didn't buy into the press, and they could have flattered him till Jesus comes, but he still had that resolute look on his face like, I don't need your praise, and I don't need your applause. What I'm about to do, I'm about to kick some butt. And within minutes, he's already signed 200 executive orders tonight, including releasing 1,500 J6 prisoners. He shut the border down. I mean, everything he promised he would do, he's done. And we don't get that in politics in these hills that much.
No. And, he is There is nothing fake or artificial about that either. I mean, some people find it so harsh, but people aren't used to politicians speaking truth and then speaking truth to power by doing what they say. So it's kind of a novelty. I can't wait to go back later tonight and watch some of the MSNBC coverage and stuff. I haven't had the opportunity to do that, but I heard they were just beside themselves. I can't wait to watch that.
Do you think that he was aware of those pardons? Because Biden did it 15 minutes before he walked into that hall about the family. I don't think Trump was aware that he had done that. Now, he was aware of I definitely was aware of the J6 stuff. That happened this morning. When I woke up, that was the first news of the morning in Fox, that he had pardoned Liz Cheney, Fauci, the whole J6 committee, this cop that killed Ashley Babbitt. And it was an insult to law-abiding citizens, and then he just topped it off. And Leslie, I know me and you both are not legal people, but I've got a guy coming on next week as a lawyer, but I do want to ask you just an opinion question. Do you believe that there is anything that can be done? You know, I don't know if you remember when Bill Clinton left office, when he pardoned Mark Rick. You remember that? And there was such a blow-up of that, and the Clintons paid a price for that right after he got ousted. Well, it was the end of his term, and Bush Jr. came on the scene. But do you think there's anything that can be done? Does this put these people more in jeopardy? Do you think that this makes it harder for Trump to do anything? What's your gut on that?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is there's more than one way to skin a cat, thanks to my grandma's great wisdom, and I believe that. But second, I think his purpose was to try to keep them out of harm's way at all costs. But I have to believe there are different methods that he can utilize. None of them deserve a career. I hope I don't know what Liz Cheney's going to do, or Adam Kinzinger. I'm sure they're both lawyers and can go back into a practice, but I hope they're not lobbyists. That's one thing that Trump may be able to put a stop to. I'm not completely sure, but he seems to have garnered most of the business world. So I'm going to have to guess that he has some ideas. When he went to pardon the family, I'm blown away. You know, I just know Trump did not know about that. Trump was in the building, and unless somebody got on the two-way and said, hey, he just pardoned these people, I don't think he would have known. I think there was so much going on and so many pieces that wasn't known right off the bat by them. That's my gut feeling. What do you think? No,
I'm with you. I think that, look, I've seen President Trump operate. Can you not believe if he would have known that walking into that rotunda? Well, and I think Joe did it on purpose, because Trump was already lighting him on fire. Look, Joe and Kamala Harris are in therapy tonight, and there are still pieces of their backside seats in the rotunda there, because Trump pretty much handed them their lunch. He fed them their lunch. He basically put a torch in their backsides. I would use another word, but my brothers were killing me today. I can't repeat some of the stuff they were saying, but they were killing me with their text about their looks and what we're McDonald's. We play hard. We're a fun bunch to be around, but it ain't for the faint of heart to hang around the McDonald boys during these times, because we just tell it like it is. But you had to laugh. And I just think that Joe was scared that if Trump would have known, Trump would have said something. I think Trump would have brought it up during the speech, don't you?
I do. I think, and he may have known at some point right after that. I don't know, but it moved pretty quickly. He spoke pretty quickly. So he didn't even know all the facts, if he even was, somebody let him know what was going on. So I think it was Biden's way to just slap him one more time and, try to get to him. If there's a will, there's a way. I'm going to hide in a corner and watch Pam Bondi do her magic. I guarantee there'll be something we can do.
I think Pam Bondi is about to unleash the gates of hell, and I think that she, Leslie, these Dems, they have got to be the dumbest bunch. They got their clock handed to them in November. They are a party in disarray. They're fighting each other. They're destroying each other. The only thing they've got left is some Twitter handles and MSNBC, and maybe one or two. Everybody at CNN's getting sued these days. CNN's going to get to the point they ain't going to have I might be able to go apply for CNN and be a conservative commentator there, because they ain't going to have nobody left to basically anchor, because they're all going to be sued and have to quit. But I'm telling you that they've got nothing. I saw AOC tonight with a just slanderous. She said, "Well, I don't attend the inauguration of a rapist, and that's why I didn't go today." Just want to slap her jaws. And that's the only thing they got, though, Leslie, is name calling. That's all they've got.
Oh yeah.
And they don't get it. These senators don't get it. They don't get it that they're about to have it handed to them again in 2 years, because Trump will use that White House, and there's going to be another house cleaning in 2 years. And these rhinos, all I got to say, you better. I'm putting them on notice tonight. You better get in line with the American First agenda, because this ain't about a Trump first agenda. Trump ain't going. He's gone in 4 years. Trump's not in this for his health. Trump's in it to fix this country, Leslie. And I saw something in him today that if I was these Republican rhinos, I'm putting him on notice. I'm putting Mike Johnson on notice. You're either going to go along, or I will see to it that you will not have a seat in Congress no more come 2 years from now.
Well, and I think that played out a little bit when they did this vote for, of course, I expected Rubio.
Yes.
But I think it's going to play out in Hegseth and maybe RFK and Tulsi Gabbard. They're kind of running scared. They're kind of getting that they better do what the president wants and his agenda, or they're going to kind of be left in the cold. I really think that is going to, I think it's already happened a little bit. I don't know what you do about the Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski and those people. I don't know how you get them to do the right thing. They're in such liberal places that perhaps it's never going to happen. But they fell, they're going to fall in line too, I think,
well,
to some extent.
I'm glad you brought Susan Collins up. The gentleman that really stood up for Pete Hegseth in the hearing, that basically, again, another one that sent the Dems to the woodshed the other day, he made a great point, and I really had not thought about it, and because I've always wondered how the Republicans view Susan Collins, and he was telling this panel at Fox today, and it helped me understand the dynamic of Collins. It don't help me understand Murkowski, but it does help me understand Collins, and this is what he said. Because see, Leslie, the thing about a Republican, even though she's like almost votes Democrat sometimes, that Republican head, okay, the number, you need that Republican. If she went to the Democrat Party, then you would lose these committee seats, okay?
Sure.
And this is what he said. He said Susan Collins comes from Maine. And he said that there are times that she has to vote the way she does to secure her seat because she's not in a red state. And he said something today that made me sort of take a step back and take a deep breath. He said, we Republicans have got to give her that latitude sometime. He said, we're not shocked by when she votes against us. She said, because she has to. And I think that it behooves us to understand that. And I get what he was saying. And again, it's about the numbers. We again, Republicans are great about cutting our nose off to spite our face. And, we can get all in a tizzy about Susan Collins, but we need that seat. We need her to be a Republican. And if this is what it takes for her to be a Republican, then we'll keep the majority in the Senate. Because if it comes out of one or two votes, she's still a Republican. And that goes toward the count in the Senate chamber. So I understand her. Murkowski, I don't. Murkowski's does not have that kind of excuse. Alaska's a pretty conservative state. My God, they had Sarah Palin as their governor. So Murkowski's the one that I think needs to be primaried come 2026.
Yeah, because I think that seat will stay red. Well, that makes sense on Susan Collins. I think it's kind of a wishy-washy Republican, but you're right. That's the great thing about Democrats is that they stick together, and to see Republicans, even for this short time, we've seen such unity. I kind of get it now why the Democrats do that. Now they're on the defensive now. They're just struggling. I don't know who their leader is, where their leader's going to come from. If Hakeem Jeffries is the best they've got, or AOC, I mean, who else is going to come forward? Schiff's such a creep, and I love that Trump called him out today.
Yes.
How great was that?
It was awesome. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I'll tell you the candidate that scares me the most, and I know people are going to laugh. Look, if the Democrats were smart, they'd go to John Fetterman. And they would say, we need to centralize our party. And we need to come back to the center. Would you consider running for president in 2028? Not that I'd vote for Fetterman. I think he's a Democrat. He's a Democrat of Democrats. But Fetterman makes sense to me. And it's all depending on whether they want to stay in the oblivion they're in with this left-wing, woke, loon bomb, perverse spirit of the party, or come back to the real world. And I think that's going to be determined. And I'm with you. I don't know anybody right now that's going to arise. And I've just got this gut feeling. Barack Obama's been seen by himself twice, Leslie. I don't know if Michelle Obama's got her heart in this. That's just my opinion. I may be wrong about that. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, my gut feeling is I started doing a little bit of investigating and everything about them the last 3 or 4 years, especially the last year or two. They don't even live together. They don't hold residence together. She goes off to Hawaii and to Martha's Vineyard all by herself. He stays pretty much in Massachusetts, it sounds like, but they still have that house in D.C. I mean, that's a weird thing going on there. I think you're right. I don't know if she's a grudge holder and she knew at Carter's funeral that she would have to sit next to Trump. I don't know why in the world she wouldn't come to the inauguration today unless it's just pure hate and spite. And I might be overthinking it. That might be her reasoning. I think it's very childish for her to do that, but and she may be mad for Obama for talking and laughing and having a conversation with Trump. Who knows?
Well, there are rumors that they're talking divorce. Now, that's just rumors, and we don't traffic in those here. But I believe that the Democrat Party is in such disarray that I think, and another thing, and one of the reasons Rubio he got a unanimous vote. You can't get you can't get 10 senators to agree on anything. Marco Rubio tonight had a unanimous vote in the Senate, and I think that Pete Hegseth is going to get approved. RFK is going to get approved. Tulsi Gabbard's going to get approved. I don't see anybody in Trump's cauldron. I think Ratcliffe's going to be approved heavily. Bondi will be approved. There ain't none of them, Leslie, that have stepped on themselves and hurt themselves in these hearings. Now, RFK hasn't testified yet, and Tulsi's still got to go before him. But, I go back to the Dems. They can act like petulant children, keep getting their butts slapped down, keep getting their butts handed to them, like it's been handed to them over the last 3 or 4 months, or come back to reality. And if they would listen to John Fetterman, the party would change. And I think that would present more of a deeper challenge to the Republicans than this left-wing part, because only a major third of the country is like this. And can I just be blunt with you? It's all in California. And look what's going on in California right now. There's people in California that's coming to the red side. They coming to the Trump side.
Absolutely. For the 5th year in a row, California is the state where the most people have left and moved to other states. And of course, it's Texas, Tennessee, Florida for the most part. I don't see that. The one thing that Bill and I have talked about too, I find it so hilarious. At first with Fetterman, I thought, that's kind of an anomaly. That's not really him. The more that man talks, the more I am shocked at his common sensibility.
I am too.
I would have never, ever, that is my political shocker of the last 5 years, I think.
You know what it is? Let me interrupt. You know what it is? I believe when he came into office, because I felt this way, I thought the man was a kook. And
I did too.
I think what happened was he was sick. And even the guy today from Oklahoma was talking about, Fetterman's Fetterman, and Look, I don't care if he wore shorts to the inauguration day and a hoodie. That's Fetterman. I don't care what they wore. Look, he was there.
Right.
At least he had the class to show up. Half the freaking Democrat Party had no freaking class in their pinky to show up.
Oh, I know.
And it's pathetic. But I think the man was physically sick. And, you know, we all judged him. I judged him. And I was making fun at times of his condition, and the Lord got on me about it. And the Lord said, you need to be careful, because that could be you. That could be you in that condition, McDonald. And I stopped making fun of him and started praying for him. And all of a sudden, I'm like you. I started listening to the man, and I'm like, what is going on? I'm agreeing with John Fetterman. What's wrong with me?
I know. And it's not on one or two things.
Exactly.
I've listened to him, and he's reasonable. I think Trump probably summed it up the best when he said he's not so much a Democrat or Republican. He's just somebody with some common sense. And that's the way, you know, parties should be. Now, I don't know if he would rise to the occasion of being in a leadership role in their party, or, I mean, I think he seems fine now. I don't really see any speech problems. He seems clear-headed. I think he was just recovering from a major stroke.
He was, yeah. Well, I will tell you what the answer to your question is. He'll never, hell will freeze over before the Dems will let him do that. And I tell you why. Because he ticked off the establishment. He's public enemy number one to Nancy Pelosi. He's public enemy number one to Chuck Schumer. And I don't see them letting him in. What is the old song? They wouldn't let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer games.
That's right.
They're not going to let Fetterman join in any Democrat games. I'm in a jolly mood tonight. I feel like we need to go back and celebrate Christmas, Millwee.
Me too.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose. I'm ready to sing Christmas carols again tonight. But no, seriously, I don't think so. Hey, I do want to ask you a question about the pardons. Let's talk about those a minute. Of all the pardons that happened, which ones grieved you the most?
Well, obviously Hunter was my huge thing. We knew it was going to happen, and I was not surprised. I do have to say I'm surprised that he went down the line of his family late this morning. That was mind-blowing to me. And also Fauci, that, of course, there's other ways to get Fauci, and there could be some kind of a personal lawsuit, or, a lawsuit brought by people that were negatively affected. And I think there's going to be a lot of data that's going to come out that's going to show exactly how bad it was and what he did, and covering things up. I mean, Zuckerberg already told us that about Facebook. He said, we were told, you can't mention this and this, and you've got to take this down, and you've got to mark this as misinformation. And bravo for Zuckerberg for coming forward. I just think it was self-preservation, though. I don't think that he thought it was horrible, because he did it, and he did it often, and he did it whenever he was asked.
I'll put it like this. If Kamala Harris would have won in November, Zuckerberg wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have never done that in a million years.
No. Oh, absolutely not. I mean, he would be toast. So, is it protecting his interests? Of course, it probably is. They were talking about the pardons and how ridiculous. It was funny. They showed a 2020 clip of Schiff and who else? There was someone else that they literally said, they were on Rachel Maddow, that you don't need a pardon if you didn't do anything wrong. Pardons are only for those people that have broken the law. And I thought, oh, buddy, you're going to eat these words.
They did.
You were pardoned today.
I just hope that Pam Bondi, not to interrupt you, I hope that they can find a loophole. And this is the thing I got to ask you, because this question's been brought to me today, and I don't really have a full answer, because I know people. The Q influence is still infecting a lot of people's minds in a manner that it don't need to, and people need to forget this conspiracy talk and just put a little common sense to the plow instead of this nonsense that they've been doing. But the question was not asked to me in that manner, even though this has been stated in the Q world, that if it's found that Joe Biden was cognitively impaired, Leslie, and he was not in his sound mind when he did these things, this is a serious question. Do you believe there is any possibility? Because I don't know where that goes. Is there a possibility that they can take down his picks? They can go back and look at the decisions he made and say none of those are null and void? I know that that's wishful thinking on our part, but I don't think that we understand just how difficult that is to prove, because you got to prove it, and you got to have somebody that comes out and says, yeah, he's a nutcase. And I'm sorry, but there ain't no Democrat psychologist going to do that. But it's motive.
Well,
you got to assume that he was nuts.
Well, I don't think there's any question that we know that he was impaired. I mean, he was doing interviews from the basement, 4.5 years ago, 5 years ago. So we know that he was cognitively challenged then. I personally thought from day one that he wasn't there. And then it got worse from there. I mean, think about it. He was tripping and falling within a few months of taking the office. Literally, I think it was April of 2021 was one of the first times he fell on the steps. And, I mean, it's just when you look back at those things, they don't look huge when you're seeing them one at a time. But looking back as a whole, it's like, wow, can we do anything about it?
So true.
I don't know. Should we move forward? Obviously, Trump basically said, I won in 2022. But, and that's fine. I mean, part of me kind of wants him to stop saying that, just because I think we won, we're the victors, move forward.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, though.
I understand him.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to talk with you about this tonight.
Wouldn't you be angry? Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because this is one of the things I was going to ask you tonight, and you've sort of led me into this question, because I've asked a lot of people as we've started this year off who's been on the show. This is your first time, and I'm going to ask you.
You're breaking up on me
I'm
again.
Sorry.
I can't hear.
That's all right. Let me turn this volume. Is that better? Is that better?
Yes, it is.
Sorry about that. This phone is. I got to keep my phones off the button. Or hands off the button. Listen, if you were Trump, is it worth us going forward and not addressing what's happened? Or do we need to look and get justice for these people that have been wronged by these Democrats? There was a tone in him today. It was hard to read.
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. There was a tone.
That's all right.
There was a tone in him today that I believe that he wants to move on, but he also wants Pam Bondi to do her job. And I think that he wants her, Leslie, to find out what has happened. And, he made a statement. Because he mentioned the lawfare. And he said the weaponization of the Justice Department against innocent citizens.
I lost you again.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. The weaponization of the Department of Justice against citizens has got to stop. Does he need to go back and address this, or do we move on without any kind of addressing it? What's your thoughts?
Well, I think you have the, I don't know, how should I put this? I think you have the responsibility of letting people know how they were fooled and tricked and lied to. Part of me says that, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Some people might want to call it rehashing. Unfortunately, Trump can't just kind of nicely say things and let people know, he's full barrel. So, I do want to know, though. I want confirmation, me as a U.S. citizen. Don't you feel like that? I mean, I want to know the details.
I do. And I think that I think that there has to be something that has to be done. And I do not believe the country can go forward, Leslie. I don't believe we can go forward before we look back. We've got to fix, and I'll tell you why.
That's why Pam Bondi was chosen. I'm still trying to figure out the Matt Gaetz thing. That's such a weird deal, unless it was planned that way.
I think it was planned. I think it was planned. I think that he always wanted Pam Bondi, but he had to throw Matt out there. I think Matt Gaetz was a test. I think he was going to see just how rabid these Democrats would go after Matt, and they did exactly what he thought they would do. And I think Pam has been the one he's wanted all along.
Again.
I'm sorry. I think that Pam was the one he wanted all along. I think Matt Gaetz was a test. I truly do. I think that Matt was a test to the Dems.
Well, do you think maybe he wanted to get Matt Gaetz out of the picture of politics completely?
Possibly, but I think he's got something else up his mind for Matt down the road. I think Matt's going to be in that administration at some point. Maybe not right now, but sometime later. I do.
Interesting. And I'm sure 90% of what they said is fabricated, like they lie about everything else. I'm not taking up for him if he
No, well, let me say this. No, everything in Washington, D.C.
But also, I'm not taking that as the gospel either.
No, but I know people, and I know how people run their freaking traps, and people run their mouth like a bunch of sewers. And gossip in D.C. is a lot like gossip out here in the real world. And if they've got it out for you, all they got to do is plant some story in the newspaper or plant some story in some tabloid, and you're toast. And that's just the life in D.C., Leslie. So I don't think any of it's true. I don't think any of it's true about Pete Hegseth. He's confessed what he's done. He's put it under the blood. He said, I've asked forgiveness. And to me, that should be the end of it. But see, with ugly people and hateful people, it's never the end of it.
If you start going after anybody, men or women, for having infidelity in their life or whatever, that's a slippery slope.
That's a very slippery slope.
So you better really, I mean, it's definitely the pot calling the kettle black. It's just, and I think people see the hypocrisy. I really do.
Well, I know it's a moot point now, but if we could do it, I think we need to go after Kathleen Bosley Ford. I think she lied on that witness stand against Brett Kavanaugh, and she needs to pay a price for what she said and did to Brett Kavanaugh. That's got to stop, and that's why we can't move forward until we address the liars and address the slanderers.
Yeah, you can't. There can't be zero retribution from it. There can't be zero, no punishment, nothing. Nothing is done to you. All it does is promote that type of behavior as it's been promoted forever. It's got to stop there. Maybe a woman, especially like Pam Bondi going after it, maybe it'll even hold more water and credibility. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. What is your most optimistic thing about Trump in the future? I think this border has got to be things that...
You broke up. I heard optimistic.
What are you optimistic the most about with the Trump second term, Leslie?
I think he's going to radically overhaul our border and borders, and I think that's going to be such a huge relief to so many people, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. I think he's going to start improving the economy. I hope people are not too fickle and expect in 3 months for things to be perfect, because it's going to maybe take 3 years. But it will happen, and interest rates need to come down, and gas prices will come down. If we drill and we push towards energy independence and then selling, I'm telling you, that will be the one linchpin that will keep everything going well. I really believe that. I believe it's energy.
I think I'm with you, and I think that is what I'm hearing in the circles of D.C., that is going to be his big push here in this first month. And I say it again, as I said it before. And folks, again, hold your questions. Please hold your questions while we got a guest. I will get to your questions at the end of the network. But I believe there is an optimism that I saw today in the country. I felt it. I felt it in the spirit. I felt it personally. Talking to people on the phone today, getting the response, the text, the calls. People are excited, Leslie. People are relieved tonight, as they should be. This is a new day for America. I know, and I would just say this to the people that are all worried about these preemptive pardons, whether they've been done or not before. He did it, and I think that Pam Bondi herself has said that Yeah, there are some things we may be able to do, but when you get down to it, Joe Biden's about 1 foot in the grave. So what are you going to do? Put him in jail for 3 years and he's gone? I mean, what are you going to do? And I'm not so sure they can reverse it. I did hear that the senator today, he said that the thing that would happen is now if they were to be called in front of Congress to get the truth, they can't plead the fifth because they're pardoned. So, Joe Biden may have handed these people up on a platter without knowing about it. So we'll talk about that more with the audience. But let me ask you this. Going forward, I know it's 4 years from now. If Trump gets the fulfillment of...
I'm sorry, you froze up on me. That's all right.
If Trump gets his agenda through these 4 years, does J.D. Vance have a head start on 2028 being the next president of the United States? You there? Leslie?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Is J.D. Vance in line for the presidency in 2028 if Trump gets accomplished a lot of the things that you think he's going to get accomplished?
I do. I think he is, of anyone, I think he's probably one of the most aligned people with Trump. I think he'll learn a great deal from Trump. And I think the bottom line will be if we do better and continue to prosper under Trump like we expect to, I think he'll be a shoo-in. Now, is there some savior coming out of the Democratic Party that I don't know about? I'm not sure, but I can't think of one person in the Democratic Party today that could beat him.
I don't either. I truly don't either. Listen, I'm grateful you came on tonight, and we're going to get you back on probably in a week or two when I get back from D.C. I'm headed to D.C. tomorrow to be with the Right to Life people on Friday. Did you hear, I did want to ask you a question. Did you hear that Robert Richards, the head of Planned Parenthood, died suddenly tonight? Did you hear about that?
No, who did? You broke up. Who died?
Richards, the lady that's over Planned Parenthood, she died tonight, suddenly.
No,
yes.
I didn't hear that.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
To me, that's a prophetic sign. It's very prophetic. It's very prophetic, friend.
Oh yes. Oh my goodness. No, I did not hear that. I will have to read up on that. I mean, I think it's a very historical, prophetic time. You're right. I love that word for that. That's and God bless Charlie Kirk. He's doing great work too. So
yes, he is. Well, listen, but I'm going to let you go. Thank you for coming on. Glad you're feeling better, and good insight tonight. And Viva Trump! Free at last! Free at last! We are free.
Celebrate because it's worth celebrating.
We'll see you in Tulsa in the spring. We're looking forward to coming there. Bye bye. Leslie Millwee, everybody. Put some fire in that house. Sorry, we were having network issues there. Wasn't sure if it's her phone or my phone. But that's some good stuff there tonight. And we're grateful for you. I want to address some of the questions that were coming in, mainly in Facebook tonight. Roger, you're talking about the hypocrisy of the liberal media and whether they're going to recognize it. No. No. They don't care. Somebody said today during the inauguration speech that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris looked guilty, like they had some kind of guilt. These people don't have no guilt. No, they don't care about how much it looks hypocrisy. They don't care about the hypocrisy of it. They don't. I mean, they just don't. And it would probably behoove us all just to lower our expectations of the media. The media is never going to look at their own hypocrisy. I know that they must not think that their stuff they say is recorded because it's always thrown up in their face, but they don't change. They're out there lying tonight about Trump already. The guy on MSNBC, Chris Hayes, is saying that he was a cult leader today. That speech was that of a cult leader. So the name calling, we're not even 12 hours from the time he took the oath of office. They're already calling him names. No, the media is not going to care about their hypocrisy, and that's a fool's error in trying to think they will. Folks, what we need to do on the right is pray for President Trump and get as much of the truth out there on our platforms as we can about what he's actually doing support him. And I'm going to get some other questions here in a minute. If you got a question, feel free to put it in the house. We'll take it at this point. We've got a few videos to play. But don't pay any attention to that mainstream media. Just don't pay any attention to it. I wouldn't lose an ounce of sleep over it. I just wouldn't. Joe Biden has no conscience. Kamala Harris don't have no conscience. I will say this about Bush Jr. There were some things that Trump said that Bush Jr. clapped for. He was the only one of those ex-presidents that did. When Trump was talking about the border, Bush Jr. was clapping. You know why? Because Bush Jr. lives in Austin, Texas. And Texas is being overrun by illegals. And Crawford, which is just south of Austin, is probably having an illegal problem. My dear buddy Andy Louderback, who's down there in that Rio Grande Valley, he was a sheriff down there in Edna. And he spent 90% of his time as sheriff getting rid of the illegals right there in that same general area of South Texas. So I think Bush Jr., even though I don't particularly care for him, I had a lot more respect for him when he got elected because I was young and naive and I didn't realize the Bushes and the Clintons were so close. I should have, but I wasn't into politics like I am now. I did like Bush Jr. I did vote for him over Gore, voted for him over Kerry. I mean, the country would have been in a freaking mess with the Gore, Kerry, the one. But I noticed today that he did clap when it came to the border. And I think that there was a different feel with him than the last time Trump got in office. When Trump's first speech, Bush Jr. went out there and criticized him awful bad. I didn't see that today. Obama was quiet. Obama sat over there in his corner like Obama was in a timeout with Michelle. And I might as well go ahead. It's Monday night. I feel good. So I can say what I want to say tonight. And I've reached this point. I got this breath of fresh air in me tonight. And I just wanted to say this. You people out there that are putting these freaking videos out and claiming Melania's eyes look weird tonight, and you're freaking out about Trump not putting his hand on the Bible, and J.D. Vance didn't put his hand on the Bible, and that because they didn't do that means that Trump's the Antichrist. You've got people out there literally not just saying he is acting like they're saying he is the Antichrist as recorded in Second Thessalonians chapter 2 and the beast of Revelation 13. You got people claiming he's the eighth beast, the eighth head. I'm not joking. They believe this stuff. I mean, we can't even enjoy a victory. This is how messed up the church is. We had a moment today when this country got a reprieve. Do you think that the church would be happy about that? Do you think people would put their stupidity down for about 10 minutes and be happy that we don't have Kamala Harris, that wasn't Kamala Harris in there today? And by the way, for you that get upset about him not putting his hand on the Bible, let me tell you, he did put his hand on the Bible. He put his hand on the Bible spiritually. When he said what he said about the two genders, to me, that's better than him putting a hand on the Bible. What would you rather have? Joe Biden putting his hand on the Bible and unleashing immortal hell for 4 years on the country? Or Trump not putting his hand on the Bible and being a godly president? We strain at gnats to swallow camels. And we cannot stand victory. People just cannot be happy. And this drives me crazy. Can you just be happy tonight? Can you just be happy that Donald Trump is your president? Is he gonna make mistakes? Of course. Do I agree with every single thing Donald Trump says or does? No. I don't agree with all of his cabinet. I don't agree with some of the moderation that he's done to the left on the abortion issue, but I know this much. Joe Biden wasn't going to fight for any of the babies. Trump will at least fight for most of them. He will fight for most of them. Can we not just be happy for a change tonight and stop acting this religious fool? Please. And I'm not saying that to anybody in particular, folks. I've seen it all over the internet today. All over the internet. Can we not just take a moment and thank God for something instead of straining at gnats to swallow camels.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
It's elementary, my dear Watson. And Elaine, you said, how can you give a pardon to someone who has never been charged or convicted? You can. There's been preemptive pardons in the past. I don't know exactly some of the names, but I do know that in the legal system that is, I think that's what Pam is going to challenge in the court. She's going to challenge that, but it's been done. I was listening to some of the people today, legal experts, and it's not ethical what he's done. But I can guarantee you Joe Biden was getting advice from lawyers and constitutional people around him that told him, yes, you can do this. As senile as he is, Joe Biden, because look, he can get in trouble for that. If he did something that was unconstitutional or he did something that was against the law, he could get in trouble and wind up in jail with Hunter. So what I'm understanding is this. They could, like, I'll use Fauci. If Rand Paul does what he says he's going to do, he's going to keep investigating Fauci, and he sees that Fauci committed crimes, you can actually charge these people with crimes. What the pardon does, it keeps them out of jail. You can still say that they were guilty of you know what. What Mali did in basically cohorting with China was treason. You can still investigate Mali for treason. You can put it on his record that he was a treasonous SOB. But what you can't do when a pardon is issued like this, they will not spend any time in jail, which is where they all need to be. But Elaine, to your question, I've got a legal guy coming on next week. He's going to address this with us. New guests, actually, down in Atlanta, my hometown. It's unusual, but it is not like never been done. If that makes sense, buddy. It's good to see you tonight. It's good to see you tonight. Good to see all of you tonight. Roger, you say, do I think Trump will bring the country back to the center? Ford, Matt, thank you. Ford preemptively pardoned Nixon. That's exactly right. Thank you, Matt. I knew it was at the tip of my tongue. When Richard Nixon resigned from office, Gerald Ford, before they brought charges against Nixon, because they were going to impeach Nixon, and they were going to probably charge him criminally for what took place at Watergate. Thank you, Matt. Ford preemptively pardoned Nixon, and everything went away. And nothing was ever done to Richard Nixon. Now, what happened, a lot of election experts of the past, historians say that cost Gerald Ford the election against Jimmy Carter. And we wound up with Jimmy Carter over it because the country didn't forgive Ford for it because they thought Nixon should hang. I was a 9-year-old kid when that happened. I'll never forget my dad. We were poor in those days, and his office was my bedroom, so I had to stay up with my dad at night when he was studying. His daddy's desk was against the wall, and my bed was right there. So we were both watching the television that night. And I remember him calling Mama into the room. He said, Margie, come in here and look at this. And Nixon was resigning. And I was just 9 years old. I wouldn't have understood what was going on. But I remember that night like it was yesterday. And thank you, Matt. That was a preemptive pardon. They never charged Nixon, but Ford said, for the good of the country, I'm going to preemptively pardon him. Joe Biden didn't do any of this for the good of the country. He claims he did. This was all selfish. And, you know, Elaine, I'll put it like this. If it's found out that there was money and bribes passed to him to get these pardons, that's another story. That is where the investigation probably needs to be, is was there any money given and any favors or any kind of political favors given to these people that he pardoned for the sake of the pardon. That's illegal, and that's criminal and bribery and extortion and all sorts of other ugly things. And I put it like this. if there's a stone to be unturned over this, Donald Trump's going to turn it over. Donald Trump is going to turn it over. All right, now we ain't even at an hour, and it's Monday night, and it's election night. It's not election night. It's inauguration night. It's Martin Luther King Day. We're free at last. Chris is in a good mood, wired up. Chris is just a no-nonsense kind of guy. You know me. I just tell you like it is. I still love you. May not agree with the thing you're saying, but I still love you. But if you got a question, now's your time to pacificate whatever you do out there. So if you got a question, say it. Gail says, pardon only keeps them out of jail. Can they take away rank, retirement pay, security clearance, etc.? They can deal with their security clearance. They've already done that, Gail. Trump stripped the security clearance of all 51 of those generals that claimed the Hunter Biden laptop was a farce. He's already done that tonight. That was one of the many things that he did today. Trump did more in the first day of his presidency than Joe Biden did combined in 4 years today. Trump was busy. I just loved the fact that he set that table up right in the middle of Capitol Arena and let 20,000 people cheer him on as he was dismantling the Biden legacy and the Biden regime. So yeah, you sure can. Anyway, Jan says if they prove the 2020 election was stolen, wouldn't that mean he was not a legitimate president? If that's so, would his executive orders and pardons still count? Jan, that question has been battered back and forth for 4 years. I cannot put my hand on the Bible and tell you yes or no on that. I think that is a question for constitutional lawyers, and I have heard all the arguments for that. I have heard all the arguments against it. That's a long shot. That is a long shot. I know that we would like that. And again, I hate to go up an old sore. The Q movement pushed that a lot. And the fact of the matter is, folks, 2020 is over. I know it's wishful thinking on our part. And again, I may be wrong, Jan. That may be. You could do that. But the chances of that happening, I would not be putting any faith in that. I just would not be putting any faith. I think Trump's going to turn us over to Pam Bondi. And whatever Pam Bondi goes and finds, I think that she's going to follow that trail. And we'll see what happens. I think, look, I'm sick to my stomach what he did today. But I'm sick to my stomach what Biden's done for the last month before leaving office. He has systematically tried to burn down America as a blank you to Trump going out the door. Literally. This J6 committee, pardon, blank you to Trump. Bocce, blank you to Trump. The Ashley Babbitt killer, blank you to the country, blank you to her family. His son Hunter, blank you to the IRS. His brother James and all of his whole family that's been guilty of crimes, blank you to the rule of law. Opening the border up, basically pardoning some of the most hardened murder rapists, sex offenders, child pedophiles that America's ever seen, just opening the prison gates. Some of these people are on death row. I understand today or yesterday, another 1,500 just let out the door some of the most hideous crimes they were guilty of. That's a blank you to every single American citizen out there. I'm sick to my stomach. Do I want to see him pay for that? Yeah, I do. I really do. But unfortunately, what I want and what we want and what you can do legally and constitutionally is two different things. We'll see. I'm not going to say yes or no, but I wouldn't be putting a lot of faith in that's going to happen. I get your point. Your point is well taken. And there have been prophetic voices claiming that's what's going to happen. It didn't happen. They thought it was going to happen in 2020. It didn't happen. They claimed it was going to happen in 2022. It didn't happen. They claimed Trump was going to come back in 21. That didn't happen. It was not God's timing for Trump to come back. Trump was not supposed to be back until 24. And all these prophetic voices were pushing. And see, I've been getting people getting mad with me because I've tried to point out that this prophecies, it's not one person, folks. People think I'm signaling out one person. I'm not signaling out none of them. I'm signaling out the whole movement. All of them. There ain't one of them that saw this break. Please find me a word out there that somebody showed you and God spoke to them and showed them that there would be a break between Trump's first term and his second term. And see, all of these prophets were predicting it was back to back. And I tell you how I know that. Because there's one prophet just east of me or west of me about 2.5 hours. He was basically in the summer of 21 claiming that Trump was going to be back in the White House by July 4th. And when Trump didn't get back in July 4th, he doubled down and said, well, I tell you what, God's told me he's going to be back in July of 2022. And guess what? Trump didn't come back in 22. To this day, that man's never apologized for that prophecy. He's never got before his public and said, I messed up. Not one of these prophets have said, I'm sorry for anything they said. They got people's hopes up. They got people disillusioned. It made people lose faith in the prophetic community. And now they're starting it all over again. A lot of people were predicting Trump was going to get killed in that hockey arena. I saw a prophecy last night that somebody claimed they had a dream and God specifically told them that Trump was going to get killed in that hockey arena. Today. None of that happened. That's the kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that makes me want to drink. And you folks know me. I'm a faith person. And I'm not Baptist. I understand the prophetic gift. I understand that we got prophets on this network to come that are legitimate prophetic intercessors and they speak their heart and I trust them. But I'm going to tell you right now, our faith does not need to be in a long shot hope that we can delegitimize 2020 because it ain't going to matter ultimately. Trump needs to move on because you can't bring 2020 back. It didn't work out. But in the bigger picture of things tonight, folks, it was God's will for this country because Trump would not have been able to give that speech today had he been there in re-election form in 2020. Now, that's Chris's opinion. You don't have to agree with that. You can see the national teeth and all that good stuff. People have seen the national on their teeth before, and we're still here. We love you. We Southerners, we will tell you like it is, have a cup of tea with you, and tell you like it is again. Then hug your neck and say, see you tomorrow.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
It's elementary, my dear Watson. It's elementary, my dear Watson. Anyway. Roger, I think you just said it. It says, isn't it more important to have the Bible in your heart rather than having your hand on the Bible you've never read or studied? I'll agree with that. That's a good statement, Roger. I'll amen myself. I'll amen that one. I'll be there. I'll be there. Laura says, I think Hillary looks surprisingly good today. I bet she did. I bet she did. I bet she did. I bet she did. And folks, I know we got some new folks in here. Please, just as a matter of just house cleaning, we don't talk about guests on our show publicly. You've got a question about a former guest, McFilesForum@gmail.com. And you can ask any question you want to ask. We don't answer that publicly. All righty. Deborah, you say it's a golden age. Let me say this about the golden age thing. And folks, I really need you to listen to me. Listen good to what your host is about to say. As my daddy used to tell me when he was trying to give me some hard advice, he says, just listen to me. I'm going to try to keep you off a cliff, son. And I'm going to try to keep you all off a cliff tonight. If you listen. You ain't got to listen if you don't want to. I've heard this all day. I've seen the headlines in Breitbart. I've seen the headlines in Gateway Pundit. I've seen the stuff on Fox. I heard Trump make the term golden age today. I've heard others talk about the golden age that's to come. Man cannot bring a golden age to America. Is things going to get better? Yes, definitely. Are we going to close our borders? Yes, definitely. Will the economy be better 6 to 8 months from now or a year from now? Yes, I believe it will, providing we don't have a major natural disaster or a major war or some freak thing happens to this country. Will there be a restoration of our justice system? Will all the things that Trump talked about today, is he going to try to do? Yes, he will. He's got 4 years. 4 years to do it. And after 4 years, folks, we don't know what's coming. We don't even know what's coming in 2026. He may lose that House or Senate if we don't fulfill what we're supposed to do. I would caution. Look, I'm optimistic tonight. I'm happy. I'm thrilled. I am thrilled that it was Donald John Trump putting his hand up to John Roberts today. Thrilled. It wasn't Kamala Harris. Doing a happy dance. Trump can't bring in a golden age. As much as we may think he can, he can't. We the people are responsible for this country. And if we the people don't want this country to succeed, it don't matter what Trump does. And I'm laying this at the foot of the church. The nation's future, and whether we have a golden age or not, doesn't even rest with Trump. It rests with the Christian faith. And the people that know God. And a nation that is spiritually away from God tonight, even though that the dynamics over it changed today. I felt it. I feel it tonight. The dynamics are there. That we have got a great shot if the church will get serious with God. I'm serious. We can truly see a true move of God inwardly. An inward move in the hearts of people. I'm already seeing it. Leslie talked about the enthusiasm, the optimism. That's an inward work. But I don't put my faith in promises of a golden age. Because the only time that that's going to occur is when Jesus Christ himself comes back to this earth. Because man can't bring a golden age to a cursed earth. So just take that as some sound advice. I'm not throwing water on your party. I'm excited as any of you all are tonight. I am feeling it. I am loving this. I'm excited to see. I've not been to D.C. in 4.5 years. 4 years now. And I'm actually excited, even though I don't want to go to 6-degree weather tomorrow night, but I'm excited to be there Friday for this Right Life March. And I'm excited to see D.C. I would have never went. I never felt even a remote leading to even go close to there while Joe Biden was president. I'm excited about going tomorrow. Trump's back. And I think that there is going to be a change. There's already a change in the atmosphere. Just don't get hopes up. Because this is what happens when people do. If the golden age don't materialize as we think, if you had your faith in Trump getting the golden age and the golden age don't happen, your faith is going to be shattered. If you got your faith in the right place, it ultimately don't matter whether America has a golden age or not. Your faith will stay the same. That's all I'm trying to say. Now, again, these opinions on this show are Chris's. I'll amen myself. I'll amen myself. Carol says it was the best inauguration I've ever seen. I believe that too, Carol. It was good. Stay sober-minded, Susan. That's exactly what I'm saying. Let's see here. Mark says most of the people who Biden pardoned are guilty of treason. Thank you, Chris and fellow patriots, for putting common sense back in the White House. You know, Mark, they are guilty. Of course they are. They're guilty of treason. This January 6th committee did some horrible things. And by the way, I don't know if y'all heard tonight, 1,500 January 6ers are free tonight, including Enrique Del Toro, who we had on this show back in 2019. And he was very, very wrongly handled. It's a lot of these J6ers that have lost everything they've had. And short of a class action, I'm not sure if they'll ever get any retribution. And another thing I was really proud of President Trump about was the COVID situation. He basically said that if there was any servicemen that lost their job during the COVID because they refused to take the shot, that they were not only going to get rehired, but he was going to give them back pay. Now that, folks, that's godliness. Saying there's two genders, that's godliness. So, there's a change in the air. There's definitely a change. I feel it. I'm excited for it. And I'll say what I said a while ago, folks. We, the church, just need to be happy tonight. I'm not putting grandiose faith and promises and all this stuff. The golden age stuff don't move me a bit. Because I know what's coming on this earth. If you read your Bible, you would too. And I'm not saying that to be in a snarky attitude. But, folks, the Bible don't predict the golden age on this earth. Not before Jesus comes. I'll leave it at that. It doesn't predict that. Anyway. Man, I'm hitting a home run. Laura Hunter said, how is Trump going to round up all the illegals and send them back? And will he do something about child trafficking? Of course he will, Laura. Oh, he'll find a way. Tom Holman's, he's about to spread a big net. They're going to go get him. They've got things in place. He's already doing it tonight. Tom said tomorrow he's putting the ICE agents on notice. They're going to be busy tomorrow. They're going to be going into these sanctuary cities, and they're going to find these people. Now, your question, how's he going to find them? I'm not sure he'll find all of them. But I'll put it like this. If I was an illegal tonight, I'd be packing my bags because your Motel California or your Hotel America, your stay here is being revoked. And as Trump said today, he said, we're going to send them back to the countries they came in. He said it very nicely. I wouldn't have said it as nicely as he did. But he was calm, collected. He said it very nice. All right, we've got a few more minutes. Diane, he had the authority. I disagree with that statement. That has nothing to do with it. He did this 15 minutes before Trump took the oath of office. He had the authority to do it. Trust me. He made look. Joe Biden is senile, but Joe Biden ain't stupid. I've been saying that for 2 years, and the senility, I'm not saying was a total act, but he ain't stupid. He knows exactly what he's doing. So no, I disagree with that. No, he had authority. He had authority. Let me come over here to my Facebook family, see if they still love me. We're going to have justice in D.C. Yes, we are. Elaine, I'll agree with that. Gail says Trump had 2 Bibles. Melania had them. Vance's family was hard to manage. Took too long. They were something about the time issue. And again, folks, I don't get worried about stuff like that. There are people out there that are making all sorts of weird videos. Melania's hat, they claiming was a symbolic Masonic sign. Her eyes, she had dark eyes today. I mean, folks, this stuff do we not have? I just shake my head at it. We came on the brink of oblivion, this close from having Kamala Harris as our president. This close. And we're worried about whether Melania's hat was Masonic or her eyes were a little darker than normal. For goodness sake. For goodness sake.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Elementary, my dear Watson. It's elementary, my dear Watson. Anyway. All righty. I better get out of here before I lose my whole network. She did look elegant, Laura. I believe that. I do believe that. I truly do. I'm happy for the J6 people too, Julia. It was an amazing inauguration. I want to just say this, folks. I'm going to make it abundantly clear. That was the best inauguration speech I've ever heard. He delivered it in the right tone. There was nothing he said that I wasn't sitting here just amening. He was knocking it out of the park. He knocked it out of the park later during the day. I'm excited for J.D. Vance being our vice president. That's a fine young man. I watched him today. It's just the dynamics that are over this country. We have the greatest open door of blessing that we have had probably in 40 years since Reagan. I'm telling you. There is some good stuff coming. Is it going to be a golden perfect age? Far from it. Because I will tell you, folks, the enemy is already working tonight. He's already working. He's already working. And it just behooves us. I think somebody said it a while ago. We need to be soberly minded, head on a swivel, straight ahead, look into God, look into Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith. Our faith does not need to waver with the weather. And it does not need to waver with what goes on in D.C. I'm glad for what's about to happen in D.C. I see a lot of good things coming. But folks, it's still going to come down to the spiritual barometer of the country, whether we survive as a country. And that's just facts. And I know some of you don't believe that. Some of you believe that Trump's going to wave a magic wand and throw pixie dust on everything and it's going to be great. And there's going to be some of that. He can fix some of these things through his actions. And God will bless this country because of it. That statement today about the two genders, I felt the Holy Spirit. I was weeping. And I said, my God, first president, I don't think even Reagan never came out and just openly said, hey, there's two genders, male and female. Good for Trump. That's righteousness. That exalts a nation. So there's going to be some good stuff coming. But don't get caught up in all the hoopla of the golden age stuff, because I sense a mighty troubling in the spirit realm that things are going to get real. And I want to say this tonight before I forget it. Trump's not to be blamed for the hostage deal. Netanyahu was in a no-win situation with those hostages and Hamas. He was put there because of October the 7th and the lack of leadership in this country. And our prayers are for Israel tonight, because she has gotten those three ladies that came back were so precious. And I think I thought I had a video of them. We're going to have some more video tomorrow night. I'll have some video on the laptop, and I'll probably just do video. Probably just be me. Eric Kieran may come on. He's been doing a little better. Seeing Brad Johnson this week up there, so Brad may be with me. We may have Brad side by side. So we'll be on the air, but our main focus this week is that Right to Life March Friday. And as I told Leslie, Shell Richards, the lady that was over Planned Parenthood, died suddenly tonight. And I saw that as a very intriguing prophetic sign. The baby killing's about to stop in this country. One way or the other. One way or the other. And we can either do it God's way, or we can go the other way. But I'm going up there to march for these babies. I don't care how cold it's going to be. I don't care who's there, who ain't there. We're going to march for them babies Friday. And I was more excited about that. I would have loved to have been at the inauguration today, but it was just not the whole weather thing in D.C. today just was not the best of days to be in D.C., even though it was a good day for the country. It's going to be a good day Friday. It's going to be a good day Friday. And your host is going to be representing all of you as proxy for being there with me. So I hope that you will, I will help you know all about it. All righty. Julia says, yes, Brad, it was the best speech ever. Actually excited for the future for our nation. I am very excited for the future, the immediate future, Julia. I'll agree. And I think Roger Hooker said it right tonight. I think that it is it's far more important. It is far more important that Trump rule by the Bible than putting his hand on the Bible. I listened to that speech today. Trump had his hand all over that Bible today. He probably didn't realize it, but he said, I put it like this, he benefited the country more by what he said than just putting his hand on the Bible for show and being like Joe Biden and leading the country to hell. So, Roger, I couldn't agree more with that. And again, I know there's some people that had some issues with it. I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody. I'm not trying to upset apple carts. I'm trying to, as my dad used to say again, keep us off a cliff. Stop getting fretful over stuff that don't ultimately matter. Because I would rather Trump have the Bible here than his hand on it and it not be anything to him. And that's how I felt today. It didn't bother me. It didn't bother me. All right, I'm out of here. I am give out.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
It's been elementary, my dear Watson. Jenny, I'll have the other one up for tomorrow night. I'm afraid to play anything on YouTube right now. They yanked me down today. I was afraid I wasn't going to be with you on YouTube tonight. Did you enjoy the show? Put some fire in that house. Thank you, Leslie Millwee, for being with me tonight. And we'll see you back here. Now, you Bible students, we're going to try to be here in the morning. I got to get ready for DC. So if I'm not on in the morning, that means that I am behind packing. So if I don't see you in the morning, I'll see y'all on Wednesday morning. And Wednesday night, we'll have our faith fellowship. We will have a show from DC tomorrow night from the hotel. And watch our Telegram room. Watch our Facebook pages. If you're in the greater DC area this week and you'd like to join us to come march with us at the Right to Life March, come on. We can sure use your company. And it'd be great to have a McFiles contingency there. So come on down and walk hand in hand with us. We'd love to have you. And we're going to march for a good cause. We're going to march for a good cause to let the world know that we support life on this network. And we'd love to have you if you can. All right? Email us McFiles Forum if you're coming, and I'll give you the address probably. I don't want to put it out there publicly. I'll tell you where I'm at. All right? How about that? We do that. McFiles Forum at Gmail, and I'll tell you where I'm at. All right. God bless you. God bless your families. It is Martin Luther King's birthday. I salute Dr. King. He had a dream. He had a dream. That dream has not been fulfilled yet. But I think that what happened today, the relationships and the relations of the black community are going to get better in this country. I do. Trump's going to make a difference, even in the black and the Hispanic communities in this country. He will. And they can either go kicking and screaming, or they can go along with it and prosper, or they can go kicking and screaming and their leaders take them to hell. And that's what's happened over the last 50 years in this country, folks. The black leadership, the leadership of the black community has led that community so far astray. Trump is not giving them a handout. He's trying to give them a hand up. But he's trying to do the same thing to the Hispanic community. And let me tell you something. The government is not supposed to be a welfare program for people that don't work. And neither is the church. The government is there to help people that absolutely cannot help themselves. It's not to be a situation. And Martin Luther King would agree with that statement. If Martin Luther King was here tonight and sitting beside Christopher Wayne McDonald, he'd pat me on the shoulder and said, "Tell him, young man, you tell him that." That's what he preached. He preached responsibility for your life. And that nobody owed you anything to come pick you up out of your mess. No, you are responsible. And really, ultimately, folks, if you look at Martin Luther King's message and that message today by Donald Trump, same message. He's putting the power back in our hands to make this country what we want it to be. And we've got nobody else to look to but ourselves and God. And I'll leave you with that tonight. We'll talk more about these other things this week. We'll get organized as we get to D.C. I'll see you back here tomorrow night from cold D.C. And we'll see you throughout the week, and then we'll be back home this weekend. Listen, I love you. God bless you. God bless your families. Did you enjoy Leslie Millwee? If you did, say amen, somebody. Put some fire in that house. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
Show the boy.